Begin the Gemara today on Daf Tzadik Ches Amud Aleph, towards the top of the Amud, second line from the top where it says Hahi Itze. So the Gemara here, the Mishnah before, spoke about the halacha of a Isha that collected her Kesubos. After she collects the Kesubos, she doesn't get any mezainis. And there was a machlokes in the Mishnah between Rab Shimon and the Chachamim. What happens if she collects part of her Kesubos? Does she still get mezainis? Rab Shimon says, once she collected part of her Kesubos, she doesn't get any mezainis. As the Gemara quoted, that's the name of Rab Shimon. But the Chachamim or Rab Meir disagree and says, even if she only collected part of the Kesubos, but since she didn't get her full Kesubos, so she still could get mezainis. So the Gemara brings a story in relation to this halacha. Hahi Itze, there was a woman, the Tofsa, Kasa, the Kaspa, Kesubos. She grabbed for the collection of her Kesubos a silver becher. Now, as Rashi says, this silver becher was not the full amount of her Kesubos. And then, Katava Mezaini, she came also to collect money for the mezainis, for the food. So what's the halacha now? She got partial payment for her Kesubos, does she still get mezainis? So they came to Rava, Amalahu, Rava said, Liyasmi, to the Yisaimim, Zilu, Havala mezainis. Go give her mezainis that she deserves, even though she already got partial payment of the Kesubos. Because less lachash lahad Rab Shimon, there's nobody that's concerned or that follows the opinion of Rab Shimon, the Amma, which said, Lo yamrinan mikzas kesef k'chol kesef. Rab Shimon says we don't compare if she's owed part of the Kesubos to a case where she's owed the full Kesubos. And so Rab Shimon essentially says that if she's owed the full Kesubos, then she can collect mezainis. If she's only owed part of the Kesubos, she can't anymore collect mezainis. But we don't agree to Rab Shimon, and therefore, just like if she's owed the full Kesubos, she can't collect mezainis. If she's owed part of the Kesubos, she can't collect mezainis. If she's owed the full Kesubos, she can collect mezainis. If she's owed part of the Kesubos, she can collect mezainis as well. So they still have to give her the mezainis. Shalach le Rabbe berei de Rave le Rav Yosef. Rabbe asked a question to Rav Yosef. This halacha of a woman that's selling for her mezainis, or maybe for the Kesubos to collect, and as we learned before, she can sell even without having a proper evaluation in a bezdin. Now, just to mention, Taisvis, other Rishonim explain that even if she doesn't need a proper evaluation in bezdin, but she does need some evaluation to know that this is being sold properly. But now the question is, tzrich shvua, does she have to make a shvua? Does she have to swear regarding the sale? Or does she not have to swear? What are we speaking about? What kind of shvua is this? So Rashi says a shvua that she did not collect in this sale more than what she deserves. Taisus here points out that the usual shvua that you have to make when you collect from Yisaimim, that's not what our Gemara is discussing. That's the Gemara that says in Gittin that whenever you collect from Yisaimim, you have to make a shvua. Here, the discussion is regarding this sale, that she should not collect more than what she deserves in this sale. That's the question he asked. So now he said back to him, why are you asking me about this? Why aren't you asking the question, hachraza, regarding the announcing? Usually when you sell something, to be sure that you're selling it properly and you're getting the proper price for it, you have to announce, or sort of an auction where you give people the option to bid. So why are you asking regarding the shvua? Ask before that whether hachraza has to be done or not in this kind of a sale. Amalei, so Rabbi says to Rav Yosef, no, hachraza lo kami boili. Regarding whether you have to announce the price for the sale, that's something that I have no question about. Because I learned this from what Rab Zayda said in the name of Rav Nachman, because he said as follows, Almana sheshama la'atzma. And Almana, instead of selling this property to someone else and taking the money for her mezainis or the Kesubos, instead she sells it to herself. She takes it for herself, for the mezainis or for the Kesubos. So over here, le'asasa v'lo klum. So Rav Nachman says she's done nothing. She can't take it for herself. She can't, so to speak, sell it for herself. Hey chidami. So the question is, why not? What are we speaking about here? Ida achros. If the case is that she made a proper announcement as an auction and she gave the proper price for this, why if she buys it herself for that proper price that was announced, why did she do nothing? If she gave the proper price that the Yisaimim deserve for this property, what's wrong? Elolav, so we must say the case over here is the loyachras, that when this property is being sold, she does not have to announce anything, and therefore over here as well, she took it for herself, she made no announcement regarding the price. If she's taking it for herself, so over here we're concerned that she took it for herself and she's giving a price that is not the proper price for this. She's giving a cheaper price. And therefore we say that she can't take it for herself. But if she sold it to someone else without announcing, without any auction, what's done is done. You can sell these properties even without any announcement. So therefore, regarding the hachraze, I have no shaila based on what Rav Nachman says that it's not necessary. But the shaila that there is regarding the shvuah. Does she have to swear that she didn't take extra for herself? So the Gemara says, from this case that Rav Nachman said, this halacha Rav Nachman said, there's no raya. We could actually explain his halacha differently. La'olam the achras. Really the case is that this woman announced a proper price and she took it for herself. She can't keep it for herself. Even if she made the proper announcement and we know that she didn't take anything extra or she didn't pay a cheap price for this. And the reason is because we say to her, Man Shomlech, who evaluated this for you? What does Man Shomlech mean? It means who gave you the right to buy it for yourself. So, in other words, the word Shom here does not have to be understood literally regarding that there's a problem with the evaluation, even if there's no problem with the evaluation. It was properly evaluated, she paid the proper price, but nevertheless, she can't buy this for herself. She has a right. The pshat over here is, as Rashi explains, she has the right to take from these properties, to sell it for a mezainis, for the Kesubos, to go to sell it to someone else. But then to sell it to herself, though, without any buyer, just to take it for herself, that she doesn't have the right for. And this is actually not only a halacha here regarding this Kesubos or the mezainis that she's selling this property for, but this is any time. If someone sends a shliach, go and sell me this property. Instead of selling this property to someone else, the shliach goes and sells it to himself. We also say to him, this is not what your shlichus is. This is not, you have no rights to do such a thing. You can't sell it to yourself. You were given a shlichus to sell it to someone else, but not to buy it for yourself, even in a case where we know that he evaluated the money properly. So too over here, regarding this Isha, she has the rights to go and sell this property, to collect her Kesubos or mezainis from this, but not to sell it to herself. And therefore, it doesn't take effect even if she paid the proper price for it. So there's no raya from what Rav Nachman said that there's no need for achraza. Ki hai dahu gavre, and we see this from another halacha we learned from this individual, da afkidu gabei kiste de yasmi, that he was given kiste de yasmi, which is the animal feed or straw that's for animals that belonged to the assignment, and it was given to him to go and sell. Azal shamal nafshei, so he went and evaluated it properly and sold it to himself ba'arba mei zuzi, for 400 zuz. That was the right price in the market at that time. But then then afterwards the price went up, and now it's worth 600 zuz. So he came to Ravami Amalei, and Ravami said to him, so this person wanted to keep it for himself with the cheaper price that he paid for it before, and that was the proper price then, so could he sell it to himself? So Ravami said to him, Man Shom Loch, who evaluated this for you? Which again, does not the focus here is not on the evaluation, but who gave you the right to sell it to yourself? You've given a shlichus to sell it to someone else, but you cannot go ahead and sell it to yourself. Going back to the shilas that we asked before regarding a almana that's selling a property, the hilchas tzricha shvuah, the halacha is that she does have to swear that she didn't take anything extra for herself, but ve'ena tzricha achraza, she does not have to announce the price, the auction necessary regarding the sale. Sagt the Heilige Mishnah, Almana shahaise ksubasa masayim. And Almana, her ksubah was 200 zuz. Umachra, and she sold a property shavah mana that has the value of half, only one mana b'masayim, but she sold it for doubled its price. So she got her full money of 200 zuz for a ksubah. Oi shavah masayim b'mana. Or she sold a property that was worth 200 zuz, the amount of her ksubah, but b'mana. She sold it half price. She sold it only for one mana. In both of these cases, we say niskabla ksubasa. What she sold, she got, the ksubah is hers, she got the 200 zuz, or in the case where the property was 200 and she only got 100, but because the value of the property was 200, so that's it. She received her ksubah. She can't collect anything additional. The Gemara will explain these two cases. Okay, it seems sort of like a contradiction here, these two cases. We'll see in the Gemara. Sagt the Mishnah weiter, Haisa ksubasa mana. If her ksubah was one mana, umachra shaveh mana vidiner b'mana, she sold a piece of property from the Yisaimim, which is more than a mana and a dinner, and she only sold it for the price of a dinner. Mechra bottle, the whole sale is nullified. And the reason is because she didn't have the right to sell that extra dinner. She only has the right to sell the property in the value of a money. So because she's selling something which is extra, not hers to sell, and it's all one big sale, so that part is bottled, the whole sale is bottled. Even if she comes and argues and says, I'm going to return that dinner to the Yarshim, so what do they have to lose? Mechra bottle. Doesn't matter, the whole sale is bottled. Gamliel says, the sale will take effect and she can pay back that dinner. So there's no loss to the Yisayimim. Unless that additional amount that she went and sold, that she didn't have the right to sell, so if that additional amount has now bas tisha kabin, regarding a field, it has an area large as 9 kabin, or begina bas chatzi kav, or regarding a garden, or maybe an orchard, this refers to, or a garden, it has the size of a half a kav. So this is the size of a property of a field or of a garden that the Yisayimim could say, we don't want your money. You didn't have the right to sell this piece of property. This is a piece of property that's large enough they want to keep and use for themselves. So if it's less than this, that she sold extra that she wasn't supposed to, so then she says, listen, this is too small, you wouldn't have used it for yourself anyways. I'll pay you for the extra that I sold. But if it's this amount, if it's this large, regarding a sadeh, 9 kav, or regarding a gina, a garden, a half a kav, that's large enough that the Yisayimim could say, you sold what you weren't allowed. This is something we wanted to use for ourselves. Or so Rashi explains, this doesn't only mean if she actually sold this amount of 9 kavin or half a kav of extra, but it means that with what's left over in the Yisayimim's possession, this extra that she did actually sell, you could combine to what's left over in their possession to this size of a property, of 9 of a field or of a half a kav from a garden. So then again, the point is the Yisayimim could say, what you sold extra is something that we could combine with what we still have and we were planning on using it, so you have no right to sell this. Or Kedivre Rabbi Akiva, the measurement regarding a garden, according to Rabbi Akiva, is actually even smaller, that they could say they would want to use, which is a base roiva. Even just a quarter of a kav is something they can say that they wanted to use this for themselves. Sagt the Mishnah, her ksuba was 400 zuz. She sold properties from the Yisayimim, lezeh b'maneh. So to one individual she sold a property of a maneh, or lezeh b'maneh. To someone else another property of a maneh. Then she sold the last property, yafa maneh vid dinner. She sold a maneh plus a dinner, extra of what wasn't hers to sell. B'maneh shal achrain, bottle. So the last maneh, the last property she sold, so that's bottle. Again, so probably the way this is read is she sold an extra dinner and she sold it for a money. So shal achraim bottle, the last property she sold, that sale will be bottle. Shal kulon, but the other two that she sold for the amount of a dinner, mechran kaim. Over there, the sale takes effect. Going back to the beginning of the Mishnah, frek the Gemara, what's the difference between the two cases? So one case was Shaveh Masayim b'maneh. She took a property in the value of 200 zuz and she sold it for half. And there the Mishnah says that even though she only got half of the value of a ksubah, but the actual property she sold was the full value of a ksubah. The Amrillah, so we say to her, at afsadas, that you're the one that has to take this loss. Since the actual property had the full value, so just because you sold it cheap, that's your loss. So if so, we should say the reverse as well in the other case, Shaveh maneh b'masayim, if she has a property that she takes from the Yisayimim, which is only worth 1 maneh, and she goes ahead and with her luck, she sells it for double, she sells it for 200, so nami teimen, she should come to the Yisayimim and say, Ana arvachna, the profit, the extra profit, more than its true value, that's my profit, but you still owe me another maneh for the ksubah, because I only took 1 maneh from the properties. Right? So in other words, the question over here is, why when it comes to the loss do we say that she's the one that has to suffer the loss if she sold it cheap? And when it comes to the gain, when she sold it for extra profit, double, over here we say that she does not benefit from the gain. So he explained, Kan Shana Rebbe, over here in this Mishnah, Rebbe taught us a general halacha that we could learn, that Hakoil Lebal Hamois, that anything extra that a shliach receives from a sale that he was sent to sell a property, whatever extra he receives goes to the owner of the money, does not go to the shliach. Again, so what this means is a person sends someone to go and buy something, to go and sell, or again, to go to buy schayre in the market for him, and he buys cheap extra, so he shouldn't say to himself, well, the extra that I bought belongs to me. The price, the value, that goes to the owner, the one that sent me. But the extra goes to me. That doesn't work like that. Even any extra that you received still goes to the one that sent you. So that's what Rebbe is saying over here in our Mishnah, in this style Mishnah, that this woman that gained extra in this sale when she sold it double for its value, still it will go to the assignment, meaning that they could consider this to be the full payoff for the Kesubos. Kedetanya, and we learned this in a Braise. And as we'll see here, this follows the opinion of Rabbi Yosi. So the Braise says as follows: So what happens if a shliach is being sent to buy, and he's given by the seller an extra measure? So who gets this extra amount? Hakoy l'shliach. The shliach gets everything extra. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. This is what Rabbi Yehuda says. Rabbi Yosi, but Rabbi Yosi says cholkin. Whatever he gets extra is going to be the split between the shliach and the meshaleach, the one that sent him. So now, in another brayse we learned, Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yosi says that whatever extra the shliach receives for the money that he got and what he bought goes to the original owner, the one that sent him, not to the shliach. So how could we say Rabbi Yosi before said cholken, you divide it? Rather, so Rami Bachame says loikashe. There's no contradiction here. Kan bedava sheyesh lekitzva. If he's buying something that has a set price, Rashi gives an example in those times, you're buying kidneys, you're buying beans, that has a set price of what it is, and then the seller gives him extra. If he's giving extra in a case where there's a set price, obviously it's not being given as part of the sale, it's being given as a gift. So if it's being given as a gift, it's not clear who the gift is for. It could be the gift for the shliach, or it could be a gift for the owner, for the mishaleach. And therefore over there, Rabbi Yosi says it has to be split. And kan bedovar, one second. And here, when it says that it all goes to the balamois, to the money owner, to the mashaleach, that's when it was something that was being bought, that there's no set amount of the price for this. Rashi says in those times you're buying a talis, a shirt, or something, some garment which is sold in the marketplace by evaluating, and it's not always an exact price. So over here, when you get extra for a certain price, so this extra is just part of the sale. It's part of the money, the sale that goes to the money owner, to the balamois. It doesn't go to the shliach, and that's also what our Mishnah is speaking about. Over here, this property that was sold, and was sold for an extra amount of money, so that extra money is for the sale of the property, and therefore it goes to the assignment. So our Mishnah is following Rabbi Yosi's opinion. That's what Rashi here says. However, Tosfos here explains that regarding the case of our Mishnah, Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda would both agree that the money goes to the assignment. Rav Papa said about this, Hilchas, so the halacha is, if the shliach is selling something, or buying rather something, and it has a set price, cholkin, so then like Rabbi Yosi says, we split the extra between the shliach and the mishaleach. He buys something and he gets extra, but if it's not something that has a set amount, a set price, hakoil lebalamois, then everything goes to the owner, to the mishaleach. What's the chiddush of Rav Papa? So the question the Gemara is asking, Tosfos here says, the question is that he should have said that the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi. Why is he saying davish yesh lekitza, davish ein lekitza? This is basically Rabbi Yosi's opinion. Why didn't he clearly say that the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi? Or other Rishonim say the question is, he's obviously coming to say that the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi. But why does he need to say this if we always have this klal? In Gemara always, Rabbi Yosi, the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi. I believe the Gemara says in Erev, in Nimuka Yimai, that Rabbi Yosi has his reason, so we always pass him like Rabbi Yosi. So what's the chiddush here? So the Gemara answers, Shinuye the Shaninan Shinuyehu. His chiddush is that the answer we gave to explain the opinion of Rabbi Yosi, because there were two braises in Rabbi Yosi's opinion, he's coming to explain that the answer we gave is acceptable, and this is the pshat in Rabbi Yosi's opinion. The question was asked, Amalei, a person says to a shliach, Zav li lischa, sell for me a half a kor, that's the amount of a lesech. Sell for me a certain size of a property, a half a kor. And this person goes ahead, and he sells double the amount, he sells a full core of property. So what's with the sale that the shliach sold? Do I say Meisav al devaravu? He was adding to what the Mishaleach told him, so v'lische miyakani. So the lesech, the half a core, that he did like the Mishaleach told him, and that sold. Or maybe I should say, Mavid al Dvaravu. He is actually going against what the Meshaleach told him. When he tells him to sell half of this amount, you sell double, so then you're actually going against what he said, and even what you sold is not going to be sold. And again, he told him to sell a lesach, and he sold a kur. So he sold double of what he told him, so the whole sale doesn't go through. So this is going to be a sugya here, which will continue all the way to the end of the Tzadik Testament base. Sort of one hamshich until the Mishnah. We're going to start today. The Gemara brings a few rayas to this, back and forth. We'll start with one raya for today. So the Gemara says, Toshima, I'll bring you a raya from a Mishnah in Masechta Me'ila. A balabayis l'shluchai. A balabayis tells a shliach, Ten lehem chaticha lo'erchem. Go give a piece of meat to serve it to the guest. Now, this piece of meat was actually kachim, and it was a case of a shegig. This is the halacha of Me'ilah, that the whole din of Me'ilah applies in the case of a shegig, where the balabas was not aware that this is kachim, and he tells the shliach, go serve this piece of meat to the guest. And then, v'hu aimer, the shliach himself is more generous than the owner, and he says, tlushtayim, he tells the guest, here, take 2 pieces of meat from here. And they were even more generous with themselves, and not lushalish. They took 3 pieces of meat for themselves. So the halacha is kulon ma'alu. All of them are ma'al. The balabas is ma'al for sending the shliach to give them 1 piece of meat. And this is the unique halacha regarding me'ilah, even though usually the halacha is ein shliach l'dvar aveda. So if you send a shliach, the balabas should not have the aveda. But over here, the Gemara learns out from a pasuk that by me'ilah, the balabas that's sent is ma'al when the shliach fulfilled the shlichus. So for the first piece of meat, the shliach fulfilled the shlichus, and the balabas is ma'al. And then the others as well are also moil because they took extra. Or the shliach offered extra, and the person actually, the guest, took extra. So now the Gemara explains. If you're going to say in such a situation, when the shliach is adding more than what the balabas told him, and the person went, the guest took extra, so they're just adding to what was told to them. So then Mishamachi, therefore I could say, Balabayis Moal, the Balabas was Moal because the shlichus that he sent the shliach to do was fulfilled. And therefore, in such a case I say, Shlucha Shaladim Kamoisa and the Mishaleach is Moal. Eli Yamrit Maver al Dvaravav. But if you're going to say that when the shliach goes and adds more than what the Mishaleach told him, so he's transgressing, he's going against what he said. So the question is, Balabayis amay mol. Why would the Balabayis be moiler if the shliach did not even fulfill his shlichus? He went against what he said, so this is totally the shliach's own responsibility. So he should be moil. Vatnan, we learned in the Mishnah the following rule: the shliach that fulfilled the shlichus that the Balabayis told him. So then Balabayis mol. The Balabayis is the one that's moil. As again, like I said before, this is the unique chiddush regarding me'ilah. Yesh shliach l'dvar aveda. But if he did not fulfill his shlichus, shliach mal. So then the shliach will be mal. So over here we have a clear raya that adding to the shlichus is considered to be fulfilling the shlichus, and you just add it. And since the Gemara is no raya, over here this Mishnah, what is it speaking about? The amalahu. When this shliach came and they told the guest here, he's serving them, he said, "Tlu achas mitay teshal balabayis." Take 1, like the owner told me to give you 1, and he said, "Va'achas midaiti." And then he says, and I'm offering you 1 more on my own. So he made it clear that this is not part of the shlichus of the balabas. So that's separate. So the shlichus of the balabas was fulfilled as he was told. And then he said separately, take 1 on my accord. And v'shakli and utlas. And they went and helped themselves to 3 pieces of meat. So therefore over here I could say that even if the halacha would be that if you add, you're not doing the shlichus, but that's if you didn't specify. But over here he made clear. So there's the shlichus of the balabas. The balabas is ma'il, what he added, he's ma'il, and then what they went and helped themselves with more, with a third, they're ma'il. So therefore over here they're all 3 ma'il, and there's no raya to this question we have when a person adds to the shlichus.